Hey, knitters, welcome to the Knitty McPurly podcast, episode 184. I'm your host, Devin Ventry. You can find me at KnittyMcPurly.com. I'm Knitty McPurly on Instagram, and if you want to email me, I'm Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. All that stuff is linked down below in case you forgot it or you don't know how to spell it. I am trying a microphone today, so you'll have to let me know if it sounds any better. I'm a little new to it, and you can't like jostle it or anything because you'll hear that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be great. Happy July 4th week coming up. I'm wearing my patriotic earrings from Grace and Wood from a couple years ago. Don't you kind of feel like they're red, white, and blue? But they're not. It's like your brain fills it in. It's all wood. Anyway, I hope you have a lot of great fun plans for the 4th of July. I know I do. Lots of celebrating. Also, I'll get to that in a minute. July's color of the month is coming soon. It's going to be great. What I wanted to tell you about right away is that I have a new social media manager. My daughter is studying business in college, and even though she's going as a freshman in August, she's already taken almost an entire year's worth of classes online as a dual enrollment. So that has been extremely cost effective, and it's been great because she's been taking these marketing classes, and she sent me a video of one of her lectures that was about social media marketing. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. I was like, would you like to be in charge of my social media? So she made this little video, which I was absolutely in love with. I thought it was so great. And she knows a lot of things like hashtags. And you might notice that my bio in my Instagram profile is now a little bit different. It's a little less personal and more businessy. So all that stuff that I said before is still true, of course. I am still me. I'm just trying to be a little bit more businessy. She's like, Mom, young people don't knit, they crochet. She's like, but you sell yarn and crocheters need yarn too. So she's like, we need to get crochet going. We'll see. But watch my Instagram if you're interested. We have a lot of fun things coming up. Okay, progress and shop news. As I just said, July's color of the month is coming out on Monday. Today is Saturday, June 29th. And Monday is July 1st. So you'll be able to see July's color of the month. I'll have a newsletter go out that day so that you can grab it then if you want to. Okay, also, this is kind of a big deal for me, and I didn't even really realize it until a couple of weeks ago. It is my 5-year shop-iversary. 5 years. So I started the podcast in 2016, and I started designing in 2017, but it was July 11th of 2019 that I put up KnittyMcPurly.com. And at that time, it was just knitting patterns, and I had a few things, objects that I was yarn related, knitting related objects that I was selling at that time. And it has really, really grown. So that weekend, it's the weekend of the, I think, 7th through the 11th. We're going to have deals happening. So watch the newsletter, watch social media, and you'll be, and but when I say social media, I just mean Instagram. I don't do any others. That would be too hard. unless Alexis wants to do it, then we'll be doing it. But so keep an eye out so that you can be on top of those. Okay, so last time I talked about the hat that I wanted to make for Maggie to go with the sweater that I made. Oh my gosh, it is just so adorable. Isn't it so cute for little Constantine? Big name for a little guy. So I really just wanted to make a fingering weight, fully ribbed hat. And I decided to go with the yellow, the trinket here, because that was the scrap that I had available. So I used a scrap of trinket in the Freetown fingering, which is not a super wash. But even though it's a baby item, nobody washes baby hats. Baby hats don't need to be washed. I will wash it before I give it to her in the blocking process. And oh my gosh, it's so cute. Isn't it so cute? So I used the sock head pattern. And then instead of switching to stockinette here, I just made the whole thing ribbed because that makes it super stretchy. I mean, you could probably fit this on like an 8-year-old. And this is the baby size. So when I got to the decreases, I looked up a decrease that looked good in a 1x1 rib. And I do think it looks really good. I forget what it was now, but I originally, I just looked at it and I was like, I think I'm going to need to do something special here because of the 1x1 rib. But I think that the gift is great. I think Maggie is going to love it. It's just so, so cute. Maggie's baby is due in about 6 or 7 weeks, I think. And so this is the baby gift for her. I'll talk a little bit more about my yarn holster when I get to the comments because that worked great. Super, super good. Also, I split for the sleeves on my Jupiter crop. Let's see. Okay, there we go. See if I can get it to lay a little bit flat so that you can see it's rolling a little. This is such a pretty pattern, isn't it? I just love it. So this is the Fiji fingering weight, River Rock, Frost, Fontaine, Trinket, Bougie. No, I'm sorry, not Bougie, Dusty. And I just love it. Isn't it just so pretty? Fiji fingering weight is 50% merino and 50% Pima cotton. And as a result, it takes the dye in a more muted way. Keep checking the microphone to see. Hopefully it's working. And I just love it. It just looks so kind of worn in and gorgeous. And this pattern is very, very pretty. So as I said before, I'm not going to be knitting the full sleeve. I'm just going to do a cap sleeve, but I've set it down for a little bit because I'm just kind of tired of it. I'm briefly tired of it. It'll reignite pretty quickly. I've been really busy. I've been dyeing a lot of yarn. My hands actually look a lot better, but I had like these corpse hands because I had all this dye on there. My life is great. I live a very charmed, wonderful, wonderful life. Thank you all for allowing me to do this because it is great. All right, moving right along to Baby Knits with Gigi. Welcome to Baby Knits with Gigi.
Oh, we get a new section.
So I have 2 of these microphones, but the other one is not charged.
Why are you so low down? You're kind of...
Oh, I'm just a little, like a little old lady. I don't know. This is our first time with the microphones, so we'll figure it out.
We're gonna have to like...
Yes, and then... Okay, so Gigi has made a thing for Maggie, and it's not...
They've already seen all the pieces.
Yes, but it is sewn together. Now, we took liberties with the pattern.
Yeah, it was kind of horrible. Oh, sorry. Oh, it was kind of horrible in the sense of like, she had me hold stitches and not bind them off. There were 2 layers, and I hate paragraphs in patterns. Don't make me read a paragraph.
I also didn't care that much. I kind of felt like we can figure this out.
We did whatever we wanted.
We did whatever we wanted, and it turned out great.
And for the collar, we just picked up stitches wherever we felt like it, and from there.
So show us. Oh, it's so good. Isn't it so good?
Is that like a bomber jacket? Is that what that jacket is?
Yes, it is so good.
It's giving old man right now.
Well, all baby clothes for little boys should read old man a little bit.
But I don't want it to be super old man, so I think I'm going to put a zipper and write Ferrari in this. What's the stitch called?
Duplicate stitch. It is called duplicate stitch, where you just basically go over the stitch with another color of yarn.
Why'd you make this so complicated? It used to be so easy, and now you're like, who's talking?
So we ordered Ferrari patches too from Etsy, and they are lost at sea.
Yeah, I don't know how or why they're from France and not Italy.
We ordered them from France.
I think the Italians would be much more interested in the Ferraris.
Yeah, they were supposed to be here like a month ago and they never came. So I just messaged the guy and I was like, they never came. And he's like, no problem. And he sent me some new ones. So those should be here. And where are you going to put them on the front?
No, you put them on the sleeves.
On the sleeves. Okay.
And then you write Ferrari across the front of like that.
Yeah. It's going to be great. I love it. This is going to be one well-dressed little baby.
Yeah, everyone is a Ferrari fan. Even if they are not, they are a Ferrari fan. That was one of the drivers for Formula 1.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, everyone is a Ferrari fan. Even if they are not, they are a Ferrari fan.
Luigi follow only the Ferraris.
The only two quotes we know.
That's the Ferrari-related ones.
Yeah.
All right, Gigi, thank you.
Wait. Are we done with the weird old hand?
So my hands actually, they look a lot better now. But I have been dyeing yarn, and they look like corpse hands, okay?
Yeah, they were all purple and green.
So, but I had kind of forgotten about it. And so we're leaving the church, and Gigi gets some holy water, and she goes to give it to me, and she goes, I'll put it on your creepy old lady hand. And I was like, rude. I was like, that was so uncalled for. And then I remembered
that her hand was like the witch from Snow White, like those creepy old hands.
We laughed so hard about that.
I didn't mean your actual hand. I meant it because they were green.
And black and blue.
Just nasty
and
looking.
It was corpse territory for sure.
A lot of corpse.
All right. Bye, Gigi.
Bye. Wait, I'm going to do it to that. Hang on.
Okay.
Woo!
Okay. In the wild, I got a few messages from you guys just to show some Knitty McPurly yarn and knits in the wild. If they're on Instagram and I miss them, feel free to send me a DM or send me an email. I am never ignoring you. I am never, what is the saying? Never assigned to malice what can be easily explained by stupidity. Yes. If I have missed any beautiful thing that you have made out of a Knitty McPurly pattern or yarn, please just hit me over the head with it so that I don't miss it again, because it was just stupidity. That's the only reason. I'm never ignoring you. But I got this wonderful modified fausette. All right, look at this beautiful, awesome fausette sent to me by a wonderful podcast watcher who had made several fausettes for her daughters and wanted to make one for her son. And I thought the fausette is kind of a girly pattern. It even has the name fausette, which is the name of a young French girl who, and the word itself means dimpled. And I thought, gosh, how did she do it? How did she modify this to make it manly for a cool dude? But she super did. So she kept the textured section and then just left the rest of it all in one color. And I think it looks awesome. That just goes to show that you can take any color work or embellished pattern and just change it into a single color sweater if you want to, just by removing all of the embellishments. And it looks super, super good on this cool little dude. Awesome. So, so good. Shelly, who's been working on a Mayberry cardigan in Dubrovnik DK in the dusty colorway, has gotten pretty far. And it looks so, so good. Gosh, this color knits up so beautifully, and I just love it. You guys are so talented, and I love seeing your work. If you're making something out of a Knitty McPurly pattern or yarn, feel free to send it to me. Hit me over the head with it so that I do not miss it. All right, moving right along to the comments section. I asked a lot of questions last week. I had many things that I was hoping that you guys would weigh in on, and you did not disappoint. Lori Nolan said, please keep the color of the month as it is, or at least available to choose to buy it, even if you do add subscription boxes. As a senior and as someone who is on a budget, I like to choose the colors I buy. Yes, so this was the overwhelming response. Many people voted that they would like to see a subscription box either in September or March, but the overwhelming response, the one that most people said was just leave it as it is, because sometimes we want to buy it and sometimes we don't. And even people who wanted the subscription boxes wanted the opportunity to switch. Well, what if I want DK here and I want fingering weight here? By just ordering the ones that you want when you want them, I think you'll be happier with your yarn. I don't know. I'm that way. I have never subscribed to yarn because I don't want to be surprised. I want to pick what I want. I want to pick my project and I want to pick the yarn that goes with it. So I really, kudos to those of you who love a surprise. That's awesome. That's just not me. So that's what we're going to be doing. And that is actually the easiest thing for me. And that way we can really focus on the sock thing next January. I'm going to talk more about that. Jen G said, love you, Devin. Another thing, I just keep dropping stitches and that annoys the heck out of me. Oh my goodness, I laughed so hard. Great podcast, so many relatable topics. One modification that I want to know, on a V-neck sweater, the pattern is a 1x1 rib and I want to change it to a 2x2 rib. Will my decreases that go up the front at the V be done the same way? The decrease is an S2KP slip, slip, knit pass, which is a double decrease. I feel like my answer is yes. Am I right or wrong? I think it should be the same. I don't think, and I'm not sure what pattern you're using. I can't speak to that exactly, but yes, the decreases to make the V, is that what you're talking about? And then later you're going to go and pick up a 2x2 rib. That shouldn't make any difference. If you are super, super picky, then you're going to want, and maybe this isn't even that picky, maybe all people would want this, but you would just want to have a multiple of 4 stitches or 2 plus 2, so that when you do your 2x2 rib that you end with a double, either a double knit or a double purl. So yes is the short answer. So beautiful had a great comment with regard to the yarn holster. She said, I'm in the process of starting up a project bag online shop using thrifted and dead stock fabrics. Hopefully it will be up in the next couple of weeks, as long as life doesn't get in the way. Amen, sister. I'd be happy to get your input on what you would like to have in a yarn holster. I was planning on making a sort of fanny pack for the yarn and also have a water bottle holder for knitters who want to walk and knit. I haven't started making them yet because I'm still designing in my head, so I'm happy for another knitter's input on what it should have. So if you have any suggestions for So Beautiful, feel free to leave those in the comments. I got lots of comments about the yarn holster. And before I go on, I will just say that it worked great at the swim meet. I ended up using it mainly not when I was volunteering, because volunteering took more of my attention than I thought that it would. But the rest of the meet, because you only volunteer for like one shift. And so when I was, Gigi's saying, do I need to wash the yarn in the sink? Hold on. Yes. Okay. Yes, wash the yarn. Okay. But I loved it. And I got so many comments from people because you know how it is where you can knit without looking. It was just a 1x1 rib. I can easily do that without looking. So I'd have my water bottle holder on and I'd have my knitting and I'm watching the swimmers and it's just a 1x1 rib around and around. You don't need any attention. Every now and then I glance down, make sure I'm still right on. I haven't purled where I should have knit. But that automatic part of your brain just kicks in and just takes you through it. And so people were like, wow, how are you knitting that without even looking? And I'm like, I don't know. I just knit a lot. Probably you guys get this kind of thing all the time. But it was a great conversation starter and it super, super worked. It wasn't perfect because the water bottle part had openings. I don't know why. I think because when you put a water bottle in and out, you want to be able to push it up. I don't know. It wasn't just a solid fabric. And so I mainly used the pouch part. SKI Ski Spinner said, Love and Stitches Knitty Natty episode 226 shows her hiking knit bag. And many of you told me about her and what she uses. She ordered a chalk bag for rock climbers. She makes lots of cozies, but this seems to work the best for her. She knits and walks, as does Andrea Mowry. I don't know what Andrea uses, she says. Okay, so here is a picture of a chalk bag. I am not a rock climber. I know nothing about rock climbing. Maybe I saw a movie one time where people were rock climbers. That's like the extent of my knowledge. So I don't know why chalk. Why is the bag so big? How much chalk do you really need on a climb? I don't know. But it looks like the perfect size for yarn. It has loops, so you could put like a belt through it if you're wearing a belt or a strap of some kind. Or you could use like those carabiners, which is maybe what rock climbers use. I don't know. Somehow you could affix it to whatever you're wearing. But that looks great, super smart. Now knitting and walking. It wouldn't work if you have a dog. I'm often actually walking my neighbor's dog, actually, because she had back surgery and I've been walking her dog for her. So you couldn't knit and walk if you have a naughty dog, I guess I should say. If it was a really good dog, then maybe you could. You could just attach the leash to your belt loop, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I have never knit and walked before. Do you knit and walk? I could, I suppose. I feel like it's taking two things I really like and putting them together, which is also, I'm also listening to audiobooks when I walk or knit. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it. It sounds interesting. Pam Knits Too. Hi, Pam. Says, I would like to keep the color of the month as it is. However, I am looking forward to a sock set for Summer Lee's socks. I already have her book and love it. Okay, so with regard to that, I am so excited about the Summer Lee Sock Club that we are doing. The League of Extraordinary Sock Knitters is happening next year. And signups are going to be in the fall. And it's the first shipment will go out in December, not in January. It'll be for January, but you'll get it a few weeks early so that you feel like you're on top of the thing, not like behind the thing. But those are going to be great. Like if you have the book and if you like the socks and if you're interested in knitting 12 pairs of socks next year with a kit that is made for a pattern in the book throughout the year, this is for you. Keep an eye out. You will know when it goes up. There will be limited spots, but I have a lot. I think it will be enough. Okay, and then Pam says, I always have a problem with sleeve circumference adjustment. My arms are rather large and normal sleeve sizes are too small. Help. Well, it depends what you're knitting. Again, there was a trend a few years ago where the sleeves were fitted and the body was loose. So don't pick a sweater that's like that. That's number one. Second of all, I would pick one that has more ease in the sleeves, and you can look at the schematic ahead of time to see if there's something you really want to knit and you feel like the arms are going to be too small. Here's what you should do. When we're pretending that this is a top-down sweater, if it's bottom up, I guess it would still be the same. If you're knitting in pieces, that's something different, but you can have more stitches in your sleeve than you do in your underarm. So let's say you cast on 8 stitches in the underarm and the pattern says to pick up 8 stitches for the sleeve. Pick up double that. Just go in pick up 2 stitches into 1 stitch and you'll have double. It doesn't have to be double, but if there is some kind of a pattern repeat that you need to keep, double is a good, I guess it could be any number that equals the repeat. If there is no repeat, if it's just a plain old stockinette sweater, then you can just add however many you want. You know, figure out what your gauge is, how many stitches you're getting per inch, and how many inches you need to add. But you can always pick up more. People feel like if I have 8 stitches in my underarm, I have to pick up 8 stitches in the sleeve. And you really don't. You really don't have to do that. So, okay, another commenter, AWGY8PH, says, I would like to reduce shipping charges personally. So would be happy ordering the sock scents in increments of 4 months, 6 months, 9 months. Grouping would avoid a $7 charge each month. So that is a good suggestion. That, however, is not one of the options. And I get it. I understand about shipping charges, especially in the world of Amazon, where we're so used to things shipping for free. Shipping charges can be a pain. But if you think about how much it would cost you in gas to go to the yarn store and get the yarn, it's probably about equal to the shipping cost. It's just the cost of shipping. It's just what it is. And the yarn store is going to cost more because they have so much more overhead than yarn online. And I'm not saying you shouldn't frequent your local yarn store. You absolutely should. But if you want to buy it online, I wouldn't think of the shipping charge as onerous, but rather just it's equivalent to the gas money that you would spend in going to the yarn store. Okay. Peggy Flowers. So the other question that I asked was, I'm going to be teaching a class on modifying knitting patterns. And I went through a bunch of things that I thought of, but I thought, what would you like to add? So Peggy Flowers said, I want to change the neckline. And this is a really, really hard one. She says, I like V-neck tops and they are harder to find versus round neck. Yes, they are. It is a different construction. So what I would do is knit some V-neck sweaters, maybe you have already, and if you can figure out how to do that and how to change it, it's going to depend on how the pattern is written. It's going to depend on if it's top down or bottom up. That's a tough one. Mona says, I just noticed the state mugs behind you. They look amazing. Don't they? Don't they look so good? I love them. I put them here, and there's a couple more up top. There's Tennessee and Ohio are up top there. They're kind of out of the frame. But I put them here. I wish I could say just for decoration. Decoration was one reason. The other reason is that they are not safe in my kitchen. There were a few accidents and some of them did get broken. And I was like, I have got to rescue these state mugs before any more of them get broken. It just breaks my heart when that happens. So, okay, the Knitting Wanderer said, Devin, I highly recommend your yarn holster idea for the swim meet. I do a similar thing with a crossbody bag. I always have some socks with me everywhere I go to work on. I especially love to take mine to sporting events or when hiking or walking. Awesome, more walking knitters. Selfish Knitter says, when I find a dropped stitch, I put a removable light bulb stitch marker on it to keep it from pulling out further. Several people said this too, and that's actually what I ended up doing on my drop stitch. I put the light bulb stitch marker on the stitch and then I attached it to the knitting just so that it wouldn't move. And that worked great. She says, when I come back to that column again, I use a crochet hook to pull it back up. Genius. However, if there are cables or decreases in a way that make that more difficult, I just pull it through and weave it in on the back once I'm finished. A lot of you said that. I was happy to hear that you weren't really judging me, that you did that too. You're like, yep, if it's difficult, I just suck it into the sweater and fix it later. Totally, totally great. Dora Johnson, hi Dora, said converting wrap and turn to German short rows and adding short rows to garments when not included in the pattern. Many of you mentioned short rows. The tough thing about short rows is that sometimes you don't know where the back is. If you're clear on where the back is, it makes it a little bit easier. Many designers put the back in the middle of the sweater. I tend to put mine along the back shoulder seam. It's just where I do it. I feel like it's a little less visible there than right in the middle of the back, but whatever. So knowing where the back is, like especially if that's what you want to do, if that's your reason for putting in short rows, is to drop the front neckline down a little bit so that it's not, choking you. But yeah, great suggestion, Dora. I will definitely be including that. Pam Williams says, I have often wanted to change the neckline of a sweater. For me, I usually want to make it tighter. Now that is fairly easy to do. You have a couple of options. You could either use a smaller needle than suggested. That would give you a tighter gauge in the neckline. You could cast on fewer stitches and then do an increase to get to the cast on. Like let's say the cast on is 160 stitches and you decided to cast on, I don't know, I can't do math on the spot, but you could cast on a smaller number of stitches and then increase so that you have 160 and then continue working down the sweater. Why did I bring up a number when I knew I was going to have to do math on the spot? I don't know. Okay. Shazam, I don't know what this says. She says, there's a lovely picture of her. She says, things to change, adding bust shaping when that does and doesn't work and how to do it, or converting a pullover to a cardigan and vice versa. Wow. And she used a very small number of words to give a lot of advice. Yes, bust shaping. Darts are just decreases, but you want to put them in the right place. And that's one of those things where the easiest way to do that is in a top-down sweater where you can be constantly trying it on and making sure that you like it. Converting a pullover to a cardigan. Yeah, no, that's great. Great suggestions. Barb said, I thought you had pretty much all the bases covered in regard to your topics for your class. And then I watched the latest Tales from Cuckoo Land podcast. And Gaina is planning to make your diggory tea. Many of you said this to me too. She called it the Cedric tea. She's like, oh, is that a nod to Harry Potter? Cedric Diggory is in Harry Potter, and his is spelled with 2 G's. I got the name from C.S. Lewis's The Magician's Nephew, but I'm pretty sure if I had to guess, J.K. Rowling got the Diggory from C.S. Lewis. If you've read all the Harry Potter books and then you go and read all the C.S. Lewis books, you're like, she was heavily influenced by C.S. Lewis, which makes me love her even more. Anyway, Gaina is going to do a provisional cast on and knit top down so that she can get the length where she wants it to be. That topic would be a great addition to your list. Yeah. She says, she gives a link to the podcast and says the diggory tea is about 45 minutes in. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Yeah, changing the construction, again, it's kind of a specific topic because it's going to be pattern dependent, but you can do it. I think the biggest thing that I want knitters to take away from the class, and what I want you to take away from this podcast in general, is you can do anything you want. You don't have to be limited by the way the pattern is written or the specific instructions in the pattern. You can make it what you want. It's a garment for your closet, and you should do whatever you want. That brings me to knitting fantasies. So I actually am on the cutting edge of something, you guys. I am never on the cutting edge. Never. I am, however, drinking water out of my Colorado mug, which I always am. This is with me all the time. So I looked on Ravelry, and there are 2, I am pretty sure these are brand new patterns. Based on the fact that they were on the front page of Ravelry, I've never seen them before. They are summer patterns and they don't have a ton of projects. So the first one is called the Midsummer Tea by Caitlin Hunter. And summer is spelled totally wrong. It's SOMMAR, which is interesting. I like that. I like that little interesting quality. Now, if you look at the finished objects, the projects that people have done, this has been highly modified. And maybe that is in the pattern. That's totally possible, because I can see just in the ones that Caitlin has done, there is an option for a cap sleeve or a short sleeve. So one thing I love about this is a very modifiable pattern. She has done it with stripes. She has, some people have made it with a lot of positive ease. Some people have made it very fitted. There's a lot of different ways that you could make a sweater like this and have it look interesting. Just all of the different options for modification. However, it's a bulky weight. Why is it bulky? I don't get it. I feel like it's totally inappropriate for summer. I don't understand. So she says it's a sport weight plus a sport weight. I don't know these yarns that she used. I don't know if they're cotton, but why is it bulky? It would knit up really quickly, but I think it's going to be too hot unless you're wearing it in more of a transitional season, which would not make it a midsummer tee, like it'd be like an early fall or a late spring. I don't know. Maybe I'm splitting hairs. I just think that's kind of weird. Overall, I like it. I really like the cap sleeve version. I think it's really pretty. Caitlin Hunter is a great designer. She just does a really good job. The other one that I picked, which makes a little bit more sense to me, is the Hipster Top by Joji Locatelli. And this one makes more sense. It is a light fingering weight. So, you'd want to probably swatch for that if you just had a regular fingering weight. She used an yak, organic cotton yak. All of that makes a lot of sense for summer. And it's a beautiful V-neck, for those of you who like the V-necks, V-neck t-shirt with a cool little stitch design on the shoulder that she also used in her hipster shawl, I think. Very, very pretty, very girly, very ho-he. That's totally her style. So, okay, those are my picks for Knitting Fantasies. Hopefully I tied all that together in the way that I wanted to. And it made sense. Okay, so here's what happened. I have a wonderful knitting story from a podcast watcher named Karen, and I think this is the last one that I have. If you have a knitting story, please send it to me. You can type it out. You can take a video of yourself telling it. You can take an audio recording of yourself telling it. I would love to feature your knitting story on the podcast. So please, please, please send it to me. Devin with an I at KnittyMcPurly.com. Okay, Karen says, I'm racking my brain for my best knitting stories, and I will just have to let them come to me in their own time. But here's one I thought the gifters among us would appreciate. I have a brother-in-law, my husband's brother, with whom I am kindred spirits in many ways, including making things by hand. When I started knitting in my 30s, he was probably one of the most interested people in my family and asked if I would knit a Scots bonnet for him. I looked that up on the internet and thought, surely that's not what he wants. If you don't know, they are big and floppy. So instead, I knitted and felted a beret for him for Christmas. I thought it turned out really nice for one of my first felted projects. That's pretty good. I've never actually knit anything and felted it because you knit it giant, right? And then when you felt it, it gets smaller. That's just so scary. Karen says, when he opened it on Christmas, he was dutifully pleased and especially liked the color. He said, "This is great. Now, can you make me one of those big ones?" So the next year, I tried a pattern that did not turn out well, and then I thought, I can just wing it. Well, I did not know enough for that and ended up with a monstrosity that never saw the light of day. Way too many increases. I gave up. Years later, I read Elizabeth Zimmerman's Knitter's Almanac, and she talks about the math of circles in her pie shawl recipe. If you've not read this book, I found it to be really charming and educational, and I realized why my big floppy hat attempts had not worked. 2 summers ago, my husband and I went to see his brother at the Celtic festival that he was a part of. He is also a historical reenactor. And I ran into this guy. I realized that, yes, Brian really does want a hat like that. So finally this spring, I found a pattern, ordered yarn, and made the hat. We live a few hours apart, and I have not given him the hat yet, but I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of floppy and the perfect color blue. He is a good sport and very knitworthy, and I know he will enjoy wearing it. To be fair, and this is my favorite part of the story, she says, all my boys, my mom, my sister, and my husband wear everything I have made for them. I'm very blessed. That is so nice. An entire family of knitworthy people? Wow, you are truly blessed, Karen. Next time my brother-in-law asks me to knit something for him, I definitely will, even if it takes me 15 years to figure it all out. Sometimes things do. They just need to marinate. And 15 years is a totally reasonable amount of time for things to marinate, I think. Totally reasonable. I hope you are having a wonderful, wonderful Saturday, and I hope you're having a great weekend. My kids and my husband and I are going to go watch the fireworks tonight with their cousins, and it's just going to be great. Did you happen to notice my ponytail? I have discovered clip-in hair extensions, and they are my new favorite thing. I feel like when you've been bald, you really appreciate a good clip-in hair extension. Anyway, I knew you guys were going to ask, so I just wanted to bring it up. Have a great week. Have a wonderful 4th of July, and I will see you here next Saturday. Bye, knitters.